صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. O people of the world, listen. I am the daughter of Ahmed. I am the rose of his vision. My name flows in the tears he sheds. I'm the leader of all women. Their hands to heaven by me led. So tell me why, oh creation. So tell me why, oh creation, between the wall and door I bled as my tears rest beneath my eyes. As my tears rest beneath my eyes, I ask you to take me to patience. I do not know where patience lies. I do not know where patience lies, nor do I know where is justice. I cried for Ahmed in my nights, and you told me to leave this place. They pushed the door against my cries. They pushed the door against my cries, and they struck me upon my face. They struck me upon my face after the Prophet had passed away. After the Prophet had passed away, the screams of Zahra were heard loud in agony, to the extent that they told her to leave the city. So she walks to the grave of her father, Rasulullah. She walks to the grave and she complains to him. She says to her father, should I tell you about Muhsin? Should I tell you about Muhsin? Were he to be born beautiful? But they crushed me and they crushed my son. From my chest to the door he fell. I heard him cry a scream. I heard him cry a scream of screams, saying, Mother, to you I tell. To you I tell, I wish I'd grown up by your side, but now to your son say farewell. Hey, but now to your son say وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أفمن أسس بنيانه على تقوى من الله ورضوان خير أم من أسس بنيانه على شفا جرف هار فانهار به في نار جهنم والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. نوروا مجالسكم بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The verse which I've just recited for you now is in Surah At-Tawbah, chapter 9, verse 109. Chapter 9, verse 109. It speaks about building your foundations upon the righteousness and the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks a question. He says, you can either choose two things. You can either build your foundations upon worshipping me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon worshipping me, upon the righteous deeds, or you can build your foundations upon a building which is next to a river bank, where underneath it is sand and rubble, where inevitably it's going to fall into the pits of hell. This is the question that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts out to us, the believers. So, the topic of today's discussion, inshallah, will be around youth and youth work and the importance of youth. Now, I've noticed within this hall, mashallah, there is about 30 to 40 kids, 30 to 40 youths who have come on a Wednesday where they have university maybe, or they have school or college. Now, I understand it might be half term, but at the end of the day, you've come for a purpose. Now, your purpose today is to honor Fatemiyah Zahra. So number one, I congratulate you for being here. And number two, I send my condolences to you and the whole Muslim world, and especially the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallahu ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, on this sad occasion where we, I think, are blessed to have three different occasions where we honor Fatemiyah Zahra. Because often is the case, we leave Fatemiyah Zahra as this poor young woman, so weak, behind the door, and we always speak about her calamities, and we always speak about how weak she was, and we always remember her in a sorrowful way, which on one side may be a good thing, but on the other side, Fatemiyah Zahra wasn't known for just her weeping and her calamities. Fatemiyah Zahra was the epitome of the morals. Fatemiyah Zahra was the embodiment of her father, the embodiment of the message of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. So in essence, what we're talking about today is the role of the youth. Now, I'd like to split it up into four different topics. Firstly, the youth of today in comparison with the youth of our forefathers. What are the differences, and why is there is a lot of confusion between the two? You see, us as youth today look at life differently from the youth that our fathers were growing up with. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to see, based on the fact that we as youth are different from our parents, what challenges do we face in our youth today in comparison with that of our forefathers? Number three, I want to talk about something called the first environment. The first environment, and how important it is for us to fill our first environment with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the love of the Ahl al-Bayt, and with the love of the Quran. And number four, inshallah, I will talk about practical lessons which we can take and implement today as youth. But before that, I'd like to hear a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. الثاني غفر الله لكم. The youth of our forefathers is something along the lines of a house. Now this house has a door and windows. Back in those days, when our fathers were growing up in our home countries, they would see the world from literally within this house. The doors would be closed, the windows would be closed, and they couldn't see much out into the outside world. which is not their own fault. It is because now we have the technological advancements which we have today, such as internet and social websites. But back in the day of our forefathers, they didn't have these kind of advancements. So what they saw was literally as limited as their own house or their own city or their own country. So this is the life that they lived in. They dealt with their own cultural challenges. The challenges that they faced, our forefathers, is very much different to the challenges that we face. Of course, I don't need to tell you, but the challenges that our fathers, especially within the Iraqi world, the challenges that they faced is something that we can never ever grasp. Because they had to leave their own countries, they had to leave their own environment, their own comfort zone, just to stay alive. Just to stay alive. Now imagine us as 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13, 14-year-olds, we're suddenly thrown into a world where we have to fight for our freedom, we have to fight for our justice, we have to fight for our rights. A 13-year-old in this day and age, a 13-year-old, the only thing he's thinking about is PlayStation, football, and going to school. Whereas a 13-year-old back in those days when our fathers used to grow up, they used to think about staying alive and providing for their family. This is the challenges that they faced, okay? Now, in this day and age, the door and the windows, in this day and age, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Okay. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. In this day and age, the youth, our door and our windows are open to the world. Why? Because recently and in recent times, internet has been open. So society has been open. Economy has been open to us. Sociology has been open to us. Every single thing in this world is literally at the tip of our fingertips on one button. On our phones, we can see the whole world. Okay? Now the difference between us and them is that we have our eyes open to the world. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? That's a different discussion. But the main thing that we have to understand is that the challenges that we face is different to the challenges that they face. Now, the challenges that we face as youth who grow up in this world is to how to deal with these Western influences. See, this is where the problem is. Our parents, when they grew up in a certain way. Now, when they came here, you have to imagine that when you grow up and suddenly you're taken out of your home and you're put into a foreign land, how are you meant to change and how are you meant to adapt to this different environment? A language they do not know, a system they do not know, rights that they do not know about. They had to live through asking people how to do this, how to do that. Why? So that us as youth can grow up in a better environment that they did. This is the whole point. The whole point of our parents coming into this country or our parents going into the Western countries is that they can provide for the youth to be able to grow and become human beings within society, to have a better life than they did. Now, this is where the confusion happens. Sometimes what happens is when parents do come here, they don't understand or they refuse to understand, to integrate or even to find out about the society that they live in. Why? When I, for example, I'm going to be moving to another country, I should take into consideration that there is a system that's in place. Instead of fighting this system, why don't we actually work with the system? That's why the schools are here, the welfare benefits are here, okay? So, in essence, when the parents came into this country, everything excelled, everything advanced, everything became open to us. So us as youth have different challenges. Now, a youth, when he grows up, there's a period of when he's 10 to about 24, which is called the adolescent age. An age where it's very, very critical that you stick by religious principles, or you are growing up in a safe environment. Because you can either, it's literally a slippery slope, you can either turn one way and totally away from the religion, or you can grasp the religion with two hands and appreciate what you have. See, this is the challenge that we face. The fact that there's Western influences in our lives. This means, the fact that there's Western influences within our lives, this means that we have a greater challenge to be able to cope, to be able to understand what is right and what is wrong. Because there's so much on the internet, this is right, this is wrong, this hizb, that marja, this marja, everything is thrown at us, everything. But we just have to take one step back. Take one step back and understand, hold on, this is right and this is wrong. Why? Because it says in the Quran, or it says in this hadith. Why? Because then we have to then go about and educate ourselves in terms of what is right and what is wrong. Now, my point of discussion here is us as youth, when we grow up, we go through certain changes, be it psychological changes, be it physical changes, be it emotional changes. When we go into school, we see things that our parents don't probably know about. When we go into school or when we go to college, we see things and we hear things maybe we don't even agree with. Maybe it's something new to us. Do we take it on? Do we all go, or do we just ask about it? So these changes is what makes it very risky, because sometimes we experiment with risky behavior. Now, a person who's growing up, when he feels a sense of maturity, when he feels a sense of responsibility, when he feels a sense of manhood or adulthood, even at a younger age, he wants to try things that are new. He wants to test his capabilities. When he feels strength, he wants to test them out. He tests them out into the open world. So that's why there has to be some sort of foundation, some sort of center in which we can provide for the youth to be able to fulfill their potential. You see, the main point here is that we don't force the religion onto these children. We don't force it. You have to love Allah, you have to love the religion, you have to read the Quran, you have to love Imam Ali, Because the kid is just going to say, you know what, I don't understand all of these things. But the most important thing is that they grow up in an environment which is safe for them to grow up in. What I mean is that let them play. The kids, I'm 100% sure that 3 or 4, maybe 5, 6 people aren't even paying attention to this lecture, which is fine, because kids don't like lectures very much. Kids, we have to face the reality that kids don't really like lectures. They want to play, they want to find something fun, they want to do something which keeps them interested. Lectures do their thing, which is fine, okay? Latmiyat does their thing, which is fine. But we have to try and find something different for these kids to come and to learn something. That's why we have to provide a safe, number one, a safe environment for the children to grow up in. Number two, a healthy environment for them to grow up in. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So human beings, especially youth, when they are born, they're born into what's called a first environment. Now, what I mean by a first environment is that when they reach their adult age, they become accustomed to characteristics and their personality matures. Now, when I'm born, for example, in, let's just say, London, my parents are Muslim, and I speak the English language. The first environment and the experiences that they have in the first environment shapes what they are and who they are in the future. Okay? So this is the first environment. So if, for example, a person who lives, like I said, in London and goes to their local mosques, or for example, let's just use this as an example, they go to their local Hussainiyat, they grow up loving, for example, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. They grow up loving Imam Ali alayhi salam. Okay? But we have to understand that not everyone has grown up in this same environment. Every environment is different to each other. For example, a person could be born who loves the first 3 Khalifas. All of their life, their whole life, they know that these 3 are people of virtue, for example. They know they haven't heard anything otherwise. They know that this religion is the way they've been taught. Okay? That becomes their first environment. It's not something that they can be blamed for. We can't, that's why we can't straight away say, oh, this bad, this is bad. The way they believe is bad, bad, bad. Hold on, wait. He's grown up something different to you. He's grown up differently to the way I've grown up. I've grown up loving Imam Ali because my parents have told me so. As a 15, 16-year-old, I'll be honest. I've grown up because my mom told me so. My dad told me so. Okay? But what I mean then, when you reach the age of adulthood, or when you reach the age in which Sallallahu Muhammad wa Muhammad. When you reach the age in which you're able to understand what religion is, then you start doing your readings. So the first environment is what shapes you as a human being. Now these things that you learn and what shaped you as a human being, you need to then verify them. Now what I mean by verifying them is not everything that we believe or not everything that our parents have told us maybe is correct. It's just a question. We then have to go and start researching into the topics that our parents have fed us. So therefore we have three references. We have the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. We have science. And we have our own personal sense of things. These three come together to make a verification process. So for example, let's just say I've grown up learning about, or I've grown up knowing about the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajah Sharif. I, for example, have the firm belief that there is going to be a person who will come back, a person who's the 12th Imam, he will then reappear and he will bring justice to this world. I have the firm belief in this. However, I still need to verify it. Now, how do I verify it? I go to religion. What does the Quran say about the return of a savior? What do the ahadith say about the return of a savior? What do the imams say about the return of a savior? I then go back to science. Why? Because what does science say about a concept of a person returning and bringing justice to society? What does science say about the psychological belief in the hope of justice? What does science say about the psychological belief in the hope, and that what does that do to a society as a whole? It brings them together. Why? Because they are all unified as one, knowing that there will be a return of an imam. This is science, it's sociology, it's still science. And then, how do I feel? How do I personally feel about this situation? I could be growing up thinking, who's the imam? I don't know, he's not here, I can't see him. You know, my dad has said something, this person has said something. So many people have said so many things about this imam who's going to appear, but I just don't feel comfortable with it. I personally just don't feel comfortable. It's just a question. But then what you do is, for example, someone might be thinking, hold on, I know that there's something out there. There's something out there, there's someone out there that's going to bring justice back to this world. I personally feel that I should be working towards my religion, or I should be working towards preparing myself for his return. Understand the point? So these three are your references, your reference points for verification. There's no point, you know, we always see, especially within these centers, in the Iraqi centers, we always live in our own boxes for some reason. We don't outreach to the world. I'm telling you, and I'm 100% sure, that the world is so much bigger than what we see here today. And I'll put my neck on the line and say the world is so much bigger than latum and lectures and tatbir and so on and so forth. It's fine. Knowing those and practicing them is very recommended. And it's definitely entrenched with a religion. But then there's something more. I mean, the world doesn't end. The world doesn't begin or end just at these. We have to open our minds to the possibilities within this world. I'm telling you, people have arrived onto the moon. People have arrived onto the moon. People have done so much amazing and astounding things in this world, and we are just, you know, bickering between ourselves, between this marja and that marja. He says this and I said that. It's about time. It really is about time where we open our eyes and we open our minds to the possibility of change. The possibility of change. Our parents, when they came here, the reason why they established these centers is, number one, to uphold the signs of Hussein alayhi salam, to uphold the Sha'ar al-Hussein. That's number one. Number two, it was their religious duty to uphold the values of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Number three, they brought home here. They brought home here. Now what do I mean by this? The fact that I left my home and I left my comfort zone and I'm in a foreign land, the only way in which I can be able to deal with this foreign hardship is if I bring home here. So what they've done is they've established religious and cultural centers. That's why, for example, you have the chai, you have the qari, you have the Rasool Al-Adham, and you have the centers. You have all of these things which shapes you as a human being and which shapes our culture. This is our culture. Now, one thing we have to understand, that when our parents brought their culture here, it doesn't mean we have the same thing. It doesn't mean we have the same attachments. Like I said, the youth of our parents is different to the youth of ourselves here today. We take what's right from them, and we definitely do not take what's wrong from them. And there is definitely wrong within this community. And there definitely is wrong within these centers. We take what's right, we take what's wrong. Number one, practical lessons, or actually number four, practical lessons on how we can deal with the challenges and how we can, as youths all together, come as one to make sure that the potential of these kids is fulfilled. See, this is the whole point. The whole point of providing these lectures and providing these programs is that the children or the youth fulfill their potential. The culture within the Iraqi world is doctor, pharmacist, doctor, pharmacist, doctor, pharmacist. What if a child doesn't want to be a doctor? What if a child doesn't want to be a pharmacist? What if he wants to be an artist? What if he wants to be, for example, a footballer? What if he wanted to be a footballer? Okay, why is it seen as such a bad thing? Oh no, he can't be a footballer. No, he's going to lose his religion. Who says he's going to lose his religion? Who says that if he doesn't take the path of a doctor or a pharmacist or an engineer or whatever, he's going to lose his religion or he's going to lose his beliefs? No one said that. Bil'akis, on the contrary, if for example he takes another route, if for example he takes a route which is so not predominant within this society, he might even spread the religion even further. Now imagine we had the Iraqi Shia as a footballer live on TV today. How much awareness would that create to this religion itself? When we have sportsmen who are Muslim, oh look, we have sportsmen who are Muslim, so much awareness about the sportsman who's a Muslim. What if we had a Shia, for example, sportsman? Just a question. So practical lessons in which we can take in today is to, especially within this center, is to set up a good relationship between the elders and the young ones. Okay? The confusion starts because there's no communication between the two. The elders say, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And the children say, no, I don't want to do this. And that's where the fighting starts. The elders say, I know better. You don't know, don't worry, I know better than you. But the youth is thinking, hold on, I've lived in London for 15, 16, 17, 18 years of my life. I know how things work. Give me the responsibility. I want to do things. I have this passion for this religion. Give me the responsibility to do something which I can fulfill my potential in. No. You're too young. You don't know. You're too young. Especially in times where there's big seasons. Oh, Muharram, Ramadan. No. We can't give the responsibility to the youth. They don't know what they're doing. مش معرفهم هذول. No, بالعكس. On the contrary, give them the responsibility and see how they flourish. See how they grow in front of you. Give them the responsibility. A kid wants to help out. If he's here, if he's volunteering his own self, Father, I want to help out. No, you don't know. Where's he going to go to? If he can't be able to fulfill his potential here, if he can't be able to fulfill his potential with his own father, his own uncle, his own dad, where's he going to go? He's going to go elsewhere. He's going to go to places where I don't want to mention things that happen. And then, oh, no, we have a problem. Our kids are lost. Our kids don't know where they are. Oh, Fulan, help me. If you had provided them with an opportunity to fulfill himself, if you had provided them with an opportunity to be able to fulfill his potential, do you think we'd have that problem today? No. Our parents, we know the best. Our parents know. I'm not saying they don't. And parents know, and they have enough life experiences. They have lots of life experiences which we can take into consideration. Like I said at the beginning of the lecture, they've lived through corruption. They've lived through a time which is really unreasonable for you. You can't even think, you can't even imagine the time in which they lived through. They couldn't leave their house without saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah wa ashhadu anna Aliyyun waliyullah. No, they couldn't leave their house without doing the shahadatain. Why? Because they feared for their life. But what we can do is we can take the lessons of their passion for the religion, take lessons for the responsibility that they had when they were young age, take lessons, but also don't take the lessons in which we believe is a mistake. So therefore, what we do is, as young youth, we have constant communication with our elders. We say to them, Father, Uncle, Sayyidna, Shaykhna, I feel and I believe we can do it better this way. I have this vision in my mind. I have this bu'ad nadar. I have this vision in which I want this place to be a place where young children can come and they can be able to volunteer their services as well as be human beings. Human beings that can be able to integrate within society. To be able to go into university having the knowledge and having the skills to be able to deal with daily life. This is the kind of lessons, this is the kind of opportunities that we have to leave for our young ones. Time does not permit me to carry on, but inshallah tomorrow we'll be able to also head into the issues that the youth face. But today is a day in which we mention Fatemiyah al-Zahra, alayhi afdal salatu wa azka salam. A mother to youth, Sayyiday Shababi Ahl Jannah, a mother to these two youth, two imams, who are the youth of paradise, a mother to these two. Not only was she a mother to these bright imams and of course Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum, but she was the mother of her father, Ummu Abiha. To what extent did she have love for her father? And to what extent did her father have love for her? Her father is who? Her father is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Her father is the person who brought this religion. Every single person, Muslim or non-Muslim, knows of the Prophet. So how comes we don't know about the daughter? Every single Muslim will say the Prophet gave us the religion, the Prophet gave us this and gave us that, morals and akhlaq and so on and so forth. So how comes they keep a blind eye towards the daughter? Why? Because there's question marks. There's question marks. If you start questioning the issue of Fatemiyah al-Zahra, you then start questioning the issues of the companions. What happened with the companions? What happened in Saqifa? What happened with Fadak? What happened with Jamal and so on and so forth? Questions. That's why they bring it down. Fatemiyah al-Zahra, no, radiallahu anha, she was fine. She was just the daughter of the Prophet, that's all. Fatemiyah al-Zahra was given the title of the father or the mother of her father. Mother of her father. She was the person that took care of the Prophet. She was the person that took care of her. She was the person in which Rasulullah would stand up every time she would walk past. In a time where girls and little babies were buried. In a time where women were seen as this little weak human being, Rasulullah himself would stand up every single time Fatemiyah al-Zahra would walk past. This is how much he respected Fatemiyah al-Zahra. But things happened, and only a few weeks after the death of the Prophet, they came to the house. They came to the house and they forced the allegiance of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The companions, those who are very prominent in the eyes of our brothers, they came to the house of Fatemiyah al-Zahra, the house in which it was the only house which the back door was open towards Masjid al-Nabi. The house in which the angels would circulate and circumambulate. The house in which Fatimah al-Zahra, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam al-Hassan, al-Hussein, they all lived there. The house which held the household of the Prophet. They come to the house and they start to scream and shout, Ali, we want your allegiance, Ali, we want your allegiance. Wasn't Ghadir just literally 2-3 months ago? Did you not see when the Prophet lifted the hands of Imam Ali alayhi salam? We want your allegiance, we want your allegiance. We don't care about what the Prophet said and what he didn't say. We want your allegiance, we want your allegiance now. We want your bay'ah. Oh Ali, come out of the house. Silence. Patience. Imam Ali was told, this day will come. But don't lift your sword. Imam Ali was told, this day will come, but don't lift your sword, you will have to be patient. They come to the door, they come to the house of the Prophet Fatemiyah. The companions come to the house of Fatemiyah. They prepare the wood to burn. Fatimah al-Zahra with Imam Ali alayhi salam are in the house, and the children and Bani Hashim. As they come towards the house, the companion was asked and he was told, "O companion, Fatimah is inside the house. Fatimah, the daughter of the Prophet, is inside the house." His reply was, "So what? So what? I want the allegiance of Ali ibn Abi Talib." So there was silence, and finally they put wood outside the door of Fatimah. As they put the wood outside the door of Fatimah, they started to burn the wood. The house was started to burn. Inside there was confusion. Women and children ran left and right until the order was called, "Attack the house of Fatimah. Attack the house and bring out Ali ibn Abi Talib." As they pushed the door to break it open, Fatimah, to protect herself, she would hide behind the wall and the door. She would hide behind the wall and door as they repeatedly pushed and broke the rib of Fatimah. There was a scream heard from Fatimah saying, "Ya Rasool Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Rasool Allah, oh Father, look at what they have done to me." Until finally they dragged Imam Ali in chains outside. But what was left of Fatimah? In what state was Fatimah? Bleeding from her chest, bruised face from the slap she received. She was left in a sorry and pitiful state. A week or so after this tragic day, moments after this, a period after this tragic day, Fatimah al-Zahra is in her house. She is weak, she is humble, she is weak from all the bruises. She finally comes to her day. She finally comes to her day. The day in which she would pass away into the heavens. She comes to Fadhil and she says, "Oh Fadhil, my servant, I'm going to the room. I'm going to the room to pray. If you hear me, then know that I am alive. If you do not hear my whispering, then know that I have passed to meet my father Rasulullah. After an hour or so, Fadhil would always come to the door and listen. Fadhil would hear whispering and then she would go away worried. Again she would come to the door of Fatemiyah. She would hear whispering but she would return until finally, oh mu'mineen, until finally she came to the door. She heard no noise. She heard no noise. Until finally she came to the door and she heard no noise. She opened the door and she saw Fatemiyah lying on the prayer mat. Lying on the prayer mat, she cried out, "Oh Zahra!" But at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Who had come in? It was Hassan and Hussein, her dear sons. Hassan and Hussein, they came to the door and they asked, the first question that any child would ask when they enter a house is, "Where is my mother? Where is our parents?" Fadhil greeted them. Fadhil greeted the two children. Hassan and Hussein looked around anxiously. "Where is our mother Zahra?" Fadhil said, do not worry, she is sleeping in the room. Here, have some dinner, have something to eat." Hassan and Hussein looked into the eyes of Fadhil and knew something was wrong. "For when have you seen us eat dinner without our dear mother Zahra? For when have you seen us gather without our dear mother Zahra? For when have you seen us gather without our dear mother Zahra?" They charged into the room and they saw her mother. Hassan straight away ran to the chest of her mother. Hassan ran to the chest of Zahra. Hussein to the feet, crying out, "Oh mother! Oh mother Zahra! The world is gonna be dark after you." But then there was Imam Ali that had to appear as well. During their screams, they had to take Hassan away and take Hussein away from the body of Fatimah Zahra. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبي الفضل العباس واخته زينب جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وإلى أرواح خدمة الحسين. نهدي لهم ثواب سورة المباركة الفاتحة قبلها صلوات.